Good morning. Welcome. I'm glad that each of you could be with us here today as we celebrate a project that I believe serves as yet another example of the city's ongoing commitment to make strategic investments in technologies that can help us serve the citizens of Rocky Mount more cost effectively and reliably. My name is Jonathan Boone, and I serve as Director of Public Works for the City of Rocky Mount. For those of you in attendance that are not familiar with the setting for our ribbon cutting today, we refer to this facility as the Environmental Services Complex. In addition to housing the CNG infrastructure and CNG-powered rear loaders we're here to celebrate today, this facility includes the administrative offices for the Environmental Services Division and the city's regional transfer station. On an annual basis, approximately 78,000 tons of municipal solid waste pass through this facility en route to disposal in a landfill operated by Republic Services in Bertie County, North Carolina. In addition to serving the citizens of Rocky Mount, this facility receives and processes solid waste from neighboring jurisdictions in Edgecombe County and Nash County. Now, in addition to being labor intensive, as you can see from the equipment sheds to my left, the process of collecting and disposing of municipal solid waste requires a significant investment in some very specialized equipment. In addition to the cost of the trucks themselves, this equipment is expensive to operate and generally considered to be less than fuel efficient. With this in mind, when the city first learned of the possibility of grant funds to invest in alternative fuel vehicles, the equipment in the Environmental Services Division was one of the first areas that was evaluated. As a result of the investment in CNG-powered rear loaders, I am proud to report that the city has been able to save approximately 2,300 gallons of diesel fuel that would have otherwise been required to collect and dispose of yard waste and small bulk waste within the city limits over the past 7 months. And over a 12-month period, the amount of diesel displaced will approach approximately 4,000 gallons. Now, most of you are probably not the type that find the area of solid waste to be too terribly exciting. But I have to tell you, I find the prospect of displacing 4,000 gallons of diesel fuel that would otherwise be required to power the 2 rear loaders that I have in front of behind me today in favor of a cleaner burning, less expensive, domestically produced fuel pretty exciting. So before turning the podium over to Mayor Combs, I want to thank each of you in attendance today for taking the time to join us as we celebrate this milestone in the life of our city. I also want to thank our partners at the NCSU Solar Center and the Triangle J Council of Governments for their assistance during the grant process, Piedmont Natural Gas and their team for their assistance with the design and construction of the time-filled CNG station behind me, and the Southern Truck and Carolina Environmental Systems for their assistance with the 2 CNG-powered rear loaders. You will learn more about these folks here in a few minutes. This project was truly a team effort, and although the process aged me a few years, I believe the City of Rocky Mount, the city's solid waste customers, and our region will reap the dividends of our efforts on this project for many years to come. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Mayor David Combs.
Thank you, Jonathan, and thank you all for being with us today. This is a Carolina day here today. It's a beautiful day, and we had a great weekend, and we're just glad you're with us today. First off, I'd like to recognize our council member who's with us today. W.B. Bullock is here, if you'll raise your hand. Council member Chris Miller would be with us, but I just learned that her mother passed away, so we certainly want to keep her and her family in our prayers, and her husband Eric's here, and just keep them in your prayers. I'd also like to welcome Senator Angela Bryant, who's behind me, along with Jeff Collins, our senator and representative at the General Assembly. We want to welcome them today. They have a busy schedule, so I'm glad they took time out to be with us today. I'd also like to acknowledge all of our city employees. I see our city manager here and all the city employees that came out today. And I'd also like particularly to give the Public Works Department, as well as members of the Carolina Blue Skies Initiative and the North Carolina Solar Center, a round of applause for all their work on this project. Ingenuity is the word that I would use for today. For our city employees, the U.S. Department of Energy sponsored Carolina Blue Skies Initiative and the NC Solar Center to describe their inventive skills in completion of this compressed natural gas vehicles and refueling station. The city's Public Works Department was charged some time ago with investing in alternative fuel technologies after receiving a grant from the U.S. Department of Energy. and their creativity has accumulated in the completion of the project we're here today to celebrate. And I don't know a lot about compressed natural gas, so I did a little research, and I'd like to share that with you. First off, CNG is a fossil fuel substitute for gasoline, diesel, and propane. There are also a lot of advantages for utilizing the CNG. First, it's a cleaner burning fuel compared with gasoline, diesel, or propane. And I see Margaret Sourwine here, and I know she would appreciate that. It also means a longer engine life and less vehicle maintenance, which we all would like to have with our own vehicles. CNG also produces less pollutants and is superior in performance when compared to gasoline engines, and is much less expensive, or about half the cost of diesel. And I don't know if any of you have looked at diesel prices these days, but it's pretty expensive. The time between oil changes for natural gas cars and trucks is also extended, with most of them about 10,000 miles between oil changes compared with a normal vehicle. Along with our new CNG station, the project has also included acquisition of 2 CNG-powered rear loaders for use by the Environmental Services Division, and you see one of them here. This is used to pick up yard waste and small bulk waste. And by the way, these trucks are powered by Cummins Rocky Mount Engine Plant engines, and these are the first type of these CNG trucks used in our Public Works Division. So we want to welcome Calvin here from Cummins Rocky Mount Engine Plant. Thus far, the city has saved over 330 gallons of diesel per month with these CNG-powered trucks. In addition, these trucks, and as a result of the construction of this CNG station, our Parks and Recreation Department acquired a 45-passenger CNG-powered bus, and again, that's a little bit further over there, to transport youth during the summer for our summer camp programs. While these are the only vehicles that are currently being filled here at the CNG station, there's capacity to do much more, and we're looking forward to using other CNG vehicles in other departments such as public utilities, water resources, and more. The CNG vehicles and refueling station officially opened in July 2012, and after some testing, modification, and use of the CNG rear loaders and the 45-passenger bus, we are satisfied with the results and are ready to share this new program and excitement with the community. First off, I'd like to thank our Public Works Department for leading this new creative project. I'd also like to thank Carolina Blue Skies Initiative and the North Carolina Solar Center for assisting the city in this effort, and the U.S. Department of Energy for investing in it by covering approximately half of the total cost of this project. There are very few city-owned and operated CNG vehicles and refueling stations in the southeastern United States, and it is due to the talents of our city employees, led by Public Works Director Jonathan Boone, that we're at the helm of such transformation here in Rocky Mount. So I thank you all for being with us today, and now I'd like to welcome up Rick Sapienza. Is that close? The Clean Transportation Energy Extension Specialist for the North Carolina State University's North Carolina Solar Center. And Rick's going to serve as our MC today. Rick? Thank you.
Well, thank you everybody for coming out today. My name's Rick Sapienza, and I'm with the Clean Transportation Group at the North Carolina Solar Center. We're advocates for clean transportation and alternative fuels through collaboration with private and public sector partners, with education and outreach, and through grant administration. And our first speaker up today is Senator Angela Bryant. She served North Carolina for 4 terms, 3 in the House of Representatives and 1 in the Senate. She represents the 4th District, which includes Halifax, Nash, Vance, Warren, and Wilson counties. In addition to being a political leader, she is an attorney and a senior consultant and co-founder of Visions Incorporated, a multicultural training and consulting organization with reach across the U.S.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Sapienza, for that great introduction, and thank you, Mayor, for those opening remarks, and thank everyone else for being here. I'm just so excited about how much a leader the city of Rocky Mount continues to be in many arenas, and particularly in the area of clean energy and green jobs. This is an amazing accomplishment, and I am very excited about it. And to think about the partnership with the North Carolina Solar Center, the partnership with the federal government, including the use of stimulus funds that help to make this available, as well as to state appropriations that keeps a research project and facilitating project like the Solar Center alive and well, in partnership with South Carolina, so a multi-state partnership that helps to make this alternative fuel initiative go forward. To think about displacing thousands of gallons of gasoline and limiting our gasoline dependence and maximizing our environmental support and stewardship of our air and water is an amazing thing, and will provide a good foundation for generations to come. I also am excited about the role of the Cummins Diesel Company and also Piedmont Natural Gas, our own local important businesses in this initiative. So I'm hoping that we'll have many more of these vehicles going forward, and that we will be able to keep the state's support and interest and leadership in alternative fuel technology going forward, and particularly with our local governments, where we have a really captured environment for reducing costs and for improving the environment. So thank you so much for being here, and congratulations to the city and to all of the partners who made this possible. Thank you.
They are, yes, that is true. The CNG vehicles are quieter. Next up is Representative Jeff Collins. He's a Rocky Mount native with strong ties to the area. He's currently serving his third term in the House of Representatives, representing Franklin and Nash counties. In addition to his North Carolina House service, Representative Collins continues his work as a financial consultant here at Rocky Mount.
Thank you.
Sure.
Well, my remarks will definitely be brief. I just got in from a town council meeting in Nashville. My next appointment's at 11 o'clock in a different part of Rocky Mount. So that's one good way to make a politician speak briefly, is to jam up their appointments right next to each other. Like Angela, I'd like to commend the city of Rocky Mount, all the decision makers here who use the innovative thinking of switching some of our vehicles over to a more clean burning fuel. I'd also like to commend, as she did, those in the state government as well as those in the private sector who've had a part in this. I would like to point out that in the General Assembly we're working very hard to take advantage of the natural resources that have been found in North Carolina, and hopefully within the space of just a few years this natural gas will not only be domestically produced, but it will be produced right here in North Carolina and transported right here in North Carolina, and everything that's done with it will be done right here in North Carolina. That'll produce thousands of good paying jobs for our state and hopefully make the cost efficiencies increase even more. So again, I'd just like to commend everybody that's taken part in this. I'd like you to know we're working hard at the General Assembly to make this thing more and more and more a North Carolina business, North Carolina industry, and just thank each one of you for being here today, and thank each one of you folks for what you're doing in this project.
And next up is Russell Duncan. Russell serves as a private sector section chief for the State Energy Office in the Energy Division of the North Carolina Department of Commerce. Now that's a pretty good mouthful. He joined the State Energy Office in '04 after retiring from Progress Energy with 25 years of service in residential and commercial markets. During the Recovery Act, he managed energy efficiency projects for appliance rebates, alternative fuels, commercial, industrial, nonprofit organizations, Main Street communities, Energy Star labeled site builds and manufactured homes, and energy assurance. Duncan, you're up.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you. Good morning. Senator, thank you. Mayor, thank you for allowing us to be here. I'm representing the Department of Commerce, State Energy Office, and it's our pleasure to be here with you today. This is quite an exciting time for us, and we thank you. I've heard a number of you talk about some of the things I was going to cover, so I'll get right to the point here. First, I want to congratulate Rocky Mount and all of you on your participation, your partnership, your collaboration, because all the people had to work together to make this happen. and I've heard that from several of you. I spoke to some of the folks ahead of the meeting. This is really important because you're working together. It's a public-private partnership, and I think it's going to be important that we recognize that. Some of the results that I've heard already, the savings in fuel, that's awesome. You have natural gas here, you're saving money, you're saving fuel, you're helping the environment, the emissions. That is great. One of the things that I'd like to share with you that I heard recently, Hurricane Sandy went up into the Northeast and did quite a bit of damage. As you know, we're not unfamiliar with hurricanes here. It was kind of challenging to see the other people instead of us having to go through that. But they went through some things that I found interesting. One of the things I remember, I saw a news story from Atlantic City, New Jersey. And in Atlantic City, New Jersey, they had a compressed natural gas, I think it was a private company that had several buses. Those buses were able to meet the needs of some of the people there who had medical issues. They could get people where they needed to go. So I asked a question today, does this particular facility have a generator backup? And the answer is yes. So even though we may not have the power, and I came up in a power company, I have volts in my veins, even though the power may not be available, you'll actually have a backup generator. So Rocky Mount, I appreciate what you've done. To all the partners, to Piedmont Natural Gas and everyone here, thank you so much. And on behalf of our Department of Commerce and Secretary Decker, we thank you, and we do recognize that Rocky Mount is a city on the rise. So thank you for allowing us to be here.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Oop. Okay, next up is Kathy Boyer. She's the Energy Environment Program Manager for Triangle J Council of Governments. And Kathy and her organization were the lead on the Carolina Blue Skies and Green Jobs Initiative, which helped fund the project that we're here today for. Prior to coming to Triangle J, Kathy worked as an environmental consultant to the US EPA and regional planning organizations at an air quality consulting firm out of Chapel Hill. Kathy?
Good morning. How are y'all this morning? I'm going to give you a little bit of context surrounding, the broader initiative, the Carolina Blue Skies Initiative. It's a 4-year grant program. It started in 2010. It was funded by the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. And it's a bi-state effort in both North and South Carolina to implement alternative fuels and reduce our dependence on foreign petroleum. The initiative is aided in the creation of hundreds of jobs and has deployed over 500 vehicles and over 150 alternative fuel stations. It represents biodiesel, ethanol, propane, and of course compressed natural gas, as well as electric vehicle charging stations. In North Carolina alone, 9 partners have implemented compressed natural gas vehicles and fueling stations as a result of this grant, and last year displaced over 500,000 gallons of foreign petroleum, 275,000 gallons of which can be directly attributed to using compressed natural gas. It's a very impressive initiative that all of our partners have worked very hard to accomplish. In Rocky Mount alone, as Jonathan said earlier, the city will have displaced over 4,000 gallons of petroleum by using natural gas through this grant program. And their plans to expand in the future will also just greatly increase that displacement. So we're happy to be a partner with them in that. In addition to the fuel savings, the average price of compressed natural gas reported to us just through this initiative alone is less than half the current price of gasoline and almost 3 times less than the current price of diesel, which has saved our partners thousands of dollars per quarter in fuel costs. I would like to extend my thanks and congratulations to the City of Rocky Mount, and especially Jonathan Boone, for working so hard to make this project a success. Without partners like Rocky Mount, we would not be successful in achieving our goals towards energy independence. Thank you. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you, Kathy. Next up, we have Greg Johnson. He's responsible for identification and promotion and business development with Piedmont Natural Gas. In his role, he works with a variety of commercial, trucking, and municipal fleet owners and operators to support their purchase, and operation of natural gas vehicles through providing access to Piedmont Natural Gas's infrastructure and through development of public access stations. As a transportation fuel, both CNG and LNG can be cost efficient and environmentally superior alternatives to traditional petroleum-derived fuels in a wide variety of applications. Greg?
Thank you, Rick. Well, one of the benefits of going last is most everything important has already been said by at least one or more of our speakers up here. So I'm going to try to wrap it up and summarize why we're here today. First of all, I want to add my thanks and congratulations to two very important groups of people. The first group is represented by Kathy Boyer with Triangle J Council of Governments, and Kathy did a fantastic job of assembling the information required to get this DOE grant for specifically alternative fuels and alternative fueling stations, and did a tremendous job in pulling it together and then administering that grant. And with one of the partners, sub-applicants of that grant being NC Solar Center, is really what made all this happen in the first place, to put the funds on the table that allowed people like the city of Rocky Mount to really take advantage of that in their own desires to better utilize this fuel in their fleets. And obviously, without the leadership, the vision, the insight from the city of Rocky Mount, in particular, Jonathan Boone and his team, this would have not have gone anywhere. It really took a lot of effort on his behalf, working through not just the grant application process, the estimating process, but the design, engineering, contracting, purchasing process to make this station and these vehicles a reality. My part really is to speak to you a little bit about the reasons why natural gas was selected, and you've already heard about some of the attributes that make it an ideal replacement for trucks like this that used to run on diesel, and replacing gasoline in some pickup trucks. And if I could just get y'all to, if you want to remember one thing, I want you to remember these four letters and the word it spells. The letters are S, A, F, and E. And I'm going to tell you that spells safe, and I'll talk about safety in a second, but I want to just reflect on safe and what those letters mean regarding natural gas. First thing is, natural gas is a secure fuel. It's produced primarily within the United States, so it's a U.S. homegrown fuel. About 10% of our natural gas supply in the U.S. Comes from Canada, a country we've had very good relations with, and to the best of my knowledge, we have not had an embargo in many years on Canadian energy or terrorism initiating from Canada. So I think very, very good of the fact that we've got a homegrown fuel here, that we're not depending on overseas suppliers to deliver to us. The next thing is A, natural gas is abundant, particularly abundant now in the North American continent because of a number of new finds in regions of the country that previously did not have natural gas production, and was alluded to earlier that maybe even North Carolina has some potential to be a natural gas producer at some point in the future. These discoveries and this production is the result of some technologies that have been exploiting the use of shale gas, and shale gas, along with other sources, now indicate we have beyond a 100-year supply of natural gas within this country. So that's A, abundant. F stands for friendly to the environment. You've already heard about how much cleaner natural gas is than gasoline or diesel. It also has lower greenhouse gas emissions. And according to America's Natural Gas Alliance, replacing one diesel trash hauler with one using natural gas is the equivalent in emissions reduction of removing 325 cars from the road. So basically we see 325 plus 325, 650 cars we can eliminate in terms of the emissions being put into the environment just by switching from diesel to natural gas in these heavy-duty vehicles. The last letter is E for economical. Natural gas, you've heard, is roughly 1/2 the price of gasoline on an energy equivalent basis. With diesel prices hovering around $4.20 now in North Carolina at the pump, you can fill up on CNG for about half that, or around $211 $2.11 per gallon at any of 6 public access stations that Piedmont now operates in North Carolina, with more to come. So natural gas is also economical. Put them all together: S for secure, A for abundant, F friendly to the environment, E for economical. That spells safe. And you haven't heard about safety a whole lot today. No one else has taken up on that, but natural gas is safe. Because it's lighter than air, an escape of natural gas does not go down and pool on the ground, but goes up and dissipates. It can't pollute the ground or water table because it can't get there. So natural gas, in addition to all the other attributes, is inherently safer. So there you have it, folks. The reasons for putting natural gas into vehicles like this. Natural gas is safe. That stands for secure, abundant, friendly to the environment, and economical, making it the perfect foundation fuel to help strengthen America's economic recovery while meeting our economic challenges and improving our overall energy security. Thanks very much.
Well, thank everybody for coming out. I'd like to congratulate, the City of Rocky Mount for taking on this project and being on the leading edge of a wave of the future.
Any of 6 public access stations that Piedmont now operates in North Carolina, with more to come. So natural gas is also economical. Put them all together: S for secure, A for abundant, F friendly to the environment, E for economical. That spells safe. And you haven't heard about safety a whole lot today. No one else has taken up on that, but natural gas is safe. Because it's lighter than air, an escape of natural gas does not go down and pool on the ground, but goes up and dissipates. It can't pollute the ground or water table because it can't get there. So natural gas, in addition to all the other attributes, is inherently safer. So there you have it, folks. The reasons for putting natural gas into vehicles like this. Natural gas is safe. That stands for secure, abundant, friendly to the environment, and economical, making it the perfect foundation fuel to help strengthen America's economic recovery while meeting our economic challenges and improving our overall energy security. Thanks very much.
Okay, great. Well, thank everybody for coming out. I'd like to congratulate, City of Rocky Mount for taking on this project and being on the leading edge of a wave of the future.